Welcome to Oconee County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 7th. A special day. It's my wife's birthday. She's still 39, so if you run into her. If you're joining us virtually to comment during the public comment portions of the meeting, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. After a moment of silence, we're going to ask Amory Harden to lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business will be to approve the agenda.
Make a motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is statements and remarks from citizens. This is for anything that is not on our agenda for tonight. Would you state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm Sharon Thalen, 1281 Dials Plantation Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm president of the Dials Mill Plantation Property Owners Association, and I'm here to talk about the State Road 316 Enhancement Project on the western edge of Oconee County. I think you have a map that shows a triangular section of land. Along the left edge is Dials Mill Extension, and traveling down 316, only 0.2 of a mile on the right is Dials Mill Road. The GDOT website for State Road 316 project shows that 16 million is budgeted for Dials Mill Exchange and 38 million for Dials Mill Road. This leads us to conclude that a flyover is planned for Dials Mill Extension and a full interchange for Dials Mill Road. One question we have is, why is construction planned at both intersections when they're less than 1/4 mile apart from each other? A full interchange at Dials Mill Road is very concerning to us because our subdivision sits very close to the intersection of Dials Mill and 316. Only a narrow piece of land listed by a developer sits between our neighborhood and 316. This developer is also listing several tracts of land on the north side of 316 along Dials Mill Road. Surveyors have been in our neighborhood for the past several weeks, taking measurements and samples from nearly a dozen lots that run along Dials Mill Road. It appears that GDOT would need to take land from some of the homeowners, and the entrance to our neighborhood may be impacted as well. There is a home on the triangular parcel between Dials Mill Extension and Dials Mill Road, and we wonder what the impact will be there. Not included in the map, but about 1.5 miles east of Dials Mill Road is McNutt Creek Road, and the flyover appears to be planned there based on the budget by GDOT. The changes made to the roads intersecting 316 will have long-lasting impacts to Oconee County residents, and we wonder if GDOT plans are consistent with those developed by Oconee County leaders for this area. Not only will an interchange at Dials Mill Road affect the homeowners near the intersection, it will also increase traffic down Dials Mill Road, which is a mostly residential area. A flyover at McNutt Creek Road will limit traffic there, which would likely further increase traffic on Dials Mill Road and other nearby residential areas. Commercial development is increasing along Highway 78, and we wonder what the traffic impact will be to the surrounding neighborhoods, especially if there's no access from 316 to McNutt Creek or Pete Dickens Road. We question why development at Dials Mill Road is occurring ahead of some other intersections, and we wonder if the plans should be re-evaluated to develop a more comprehensive plan for this area. We ask the Oconee Board of Commissioners to advocate on behalf of local residents to ensure that GDOT plans for State Road 316 in the western edge of the county take into account the needs of the broader area encompassing McNutt Creek Road, Pete Dickens Road, and Highway 78. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Anyone virtually? Any statements or remarks from commissioners? No. Couple of things. We will be hosting our town hall meeting on September the 14th. Will be at the Oconee County Civic Center in the Performing Arts Theater. This will be an in-person meeting as well as a virtual meeting. Town hall meetings are your opportunity to kind of talk to the Board of Commissioners about anything that's on your mind. Special focus will be on the T-Splosh vote that's coming up on November 2nd. Also, September 17th will be a celebration for Constitution Day. This is put on by the Watkinsville Junior American Citizens and the William Daniel Society Children of the American Revolution. So Friday, September 17th at 3:45, and that will be on Rocket Field this year in downtown Watkinsville. Next item will be to approve the minutes. This will be from our August 3rd tax levy hearing, our August 3rd regular meeting, as well as August 24th call meeting and the August 31st meeting.
Make a motion to approve all four submitted.
We have a motion and second to approve the agendas as submitted. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now we move into our hearing and zoning matters. Let's see, the rezone petition shall be presented by the county staff with no time limit. The applicant and those signed up to speak for the petition shall be allowed a total of 20 minutes, less the applicant's reserved time for rebuttal. Those signed up to speak against the rezone will also have a total of 20 minutes. The public comment sections will then be closed, and the Board of Commissioners will have an opportunity to ask questions as they deem appropriate, and the board will take action as defined, as set out in the Unified Development Code. With that, we're going to go ahead and call our first case with special use number P210076. This is Ellington Farms LLC for continuing care retirement community. This is 62.32 acres located on US Highway 78. This is also a rezone with number P21-077 and rezone P21-0078. It's all right with the applicant. We'll talk about all three of those at one time. Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, this is P21-0077, 0078, and 0076 special use for Ellington Farms Development Partners off of Highway 78. The subject tracts are these two parcels highlighted in red. And the current zoning is a mix of B2 and R3. And located in the suburban neighborhood character area. And again, the request is to rezone parcel B02012E and a portion of parcel B01084B from B2 Highway Business District and R3 Multifamily Residential District to R3 Multifamily Residential District in order to modify and expand the previously approved Village at Meadowlands Continuing Care Retirement Community by 21 acres and 101 units. There's also a special use that goes along with it, and the request is to modify that concept plan and expand the acreage of the conditional use permit number 5782, approved in 2009 for the Village at Meadowlands CCRC. And then finally, the rezone P21-0078, which is to modify rezone 5780 in order to redesign the market at Meadowlands Commercial Center associated with the Village at Meadowlands CCRC. So these are the plans that were previously approved. This is concept plan number 1 for the markets of Meadowland that is proposed to be amended. You'll notice the location of the commercial portion here that will change. Again, the commercial portion located at these two locations on the concept plan for the commercial portion, and then the R3 with the CCRC portion in the back. These are the original plans that were approved previously. This is the overall concept plan of the new rezone and special use. So you'll notice that this portion is now changed to an R3 residential component along. This remains the same as the R3 residential component, and it minimizes the amount of commercial development in this location. We have a zoomed in version of the R3 rezone 0077, and the special use 0076 for the CCRC. And then again, the concept plan for the commercial portion that is proposed with 0078. And these are the architectural images submitted with the application for the multifamily as well as the single family portions of the CCRC. And the architectural images submitted for the market at Meadowlands, the commercial portion. Staff recommends approval, conditional approval of the requested rezone P210077 and special use P210076 with the 5 conditions seen here. 1, 2, and 3 are our standard conditions. Number 4, at its expense, the owner shall design, permit, and construct a roundabout at the intersection of Tallis Street and Garland Drive and the project entrance. Said improvements shall be shown in the preliminary plat, preliminary site plan, and site development plans. Number 5, at its expense, owner shall design, permit, and construct a traffic signal at the project entrance on US 78, including the provision of a letter of credit if the installation of the traffic signal is not immediately warranted. Such security shall be for a period of 5 years, renewable for an additional 5 years if the county, through its public works director, determines that it is likely such traffic signal would be warranted during that period. Said improvements shall be shown on the preliminary plat, preliminary site plan, and site development plans. And again, for the B2 portion of the development, P210078, the same conditions apply 1 through 5 as previously stated, with an additional number 6, the shared parking as allowed by the UDC, section 605 shall be utilized where possible within the market at Meadowlands in order to minimize the extraneous impervious surface. The Planning Commission recommended approval of all 3 requests with 1 modification to condition number 4. That was to add the language or equivalent. So it would read, at its expense, the owner shall design, permit, and construct a roundabout or equivalent at the intersection of Tallis Street, Garland Drive, and the project entrance. Said improvement shall be shown on the preliminary plat, preliminary site plan, and site development plan. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the owner or the agent of the owner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, my name is Bob Smith with Smith Planning Group, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight representing Ellington Farms Development Partners, LLC. As mentioned earlier, the site is located on the north side of Highway 78, directly across from Prince Avenue Church and School, and between Dials Mill Road and Tallis Drive. The entire tract consists of 89.79 acres with 49.04 acres currently zoned B2 and 40.75 acres zoned R3 for a continuing care retirement community. The tract is divided by a 175-foot wide pipeline easement. Uses on the south side of the pipeline easement between the easement and Highway 78 are limited strictly to commercial. And uses on the north side of the easement are limited to the CCRC. As currently zoned, the entire frontage of Highway 78 is zoned B2 with individualized standalone lots and buildings with individual parking lots. Uses according to the concept plan range from medical office, drugstores, fast food restaurants, and dine-in restaurants, banks, retail, office, and pet care, in addition to the grocery and ancillary retail uses. And if you would go to the existing plan approved back in 2009. One more, please. Okay, this is the section that we're not modifying this portion right here. That you'll see the grocery store exists in the same location along with these ancillary uses here. We did start modifying right here and going this way. One more slide back. Okay, here's the match line here. You can see the continuation of the B2 until it goes all the way down to Dow's Mill Road here. So we're modifying this section. We're not modifying this section because this tract has since sold and we don't have control over this tract to the east, or I'm sorry, to the west of Dow's Mill Road. Okay, back one more, or actually two more to the concept plan. Okay, so this is the current plan question tonight. You can see the existing grocery store area here with the ancillary uses. Here, we modified the plan to have more of a village scale retail. Notice the very small building areas. These in this section will be 2 stories. So you could have retail on the bottom floor and perhaps office above. We also modified the entry drive going back to the CCRC back here, just to modify it from a straight shot. Go back one slide, please, guys. One. Okay. You can see here that same drive, which is a straight line, a slingshot drive, if you will, back to the CCRC. And what we've done is we've cranked it over to this side and to that side in order to make it much more of a pleasant drive. Go back to the concept plan. The purpose of this rezone request is to modify the extents of both the zoning classifications and redesign the site into a walkable neighborhood with a variety of housing types surrounding a central green. You can see the central green right there. All of these homes actually face the green and the parking is behind these homes. The commercial area is also being redesigned into a more compact arrangement, making walkability possible. The commercial structures will be 2-story, providing the opportunity to have multiple tenants within the same small footprint. This also allows us the opportunity to frame the street, slow traffic, and provide a more comfortable place to gather and meet friends. This is the place for sidewalk cafes, ice cream shops, boutiques, and coffee shops. And what a better place to have a neighborhood scale commercial than adjacent to a CCRC. The grocery, along with the ancillary retail uses, remains the same. All of the housing will be contained within the legal structure of a CCRC and will consist of 2 types of flats, quads, detached cottages arranged into cottage courts. And you can see the cottage courts here and here. And these homes are actually arranged around a central green. Overall, the total number of living units in the CCRC is being increased by 101 living units for a total of 517. And the commercial area of the buildings is being reduced by approximately 200,000 square feet for a total maximum of 179,000 square feet. In regards to traffic generation, the existing plan was approved in January 2009 and generates approximately 18,000 trips per day, contrasted with the 12,000 trips per day with the plan that is before you tonight. So I'm happy to say that the plan that's before you generates significantly less traffic. We agree with and accept the conditions staff has placed on the request, including number 4, with a recommendation from the Planning Commission that the roundabout or equivalent be contained entirely within the right-of-way of Talus and Garland Drive, requiring no additional right-of-way to be purchased. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for the rezone, special use? Anyone virtually? Now we'll move to those to speak against. Joel Adair.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Joel Adair. I live at 1011 Topaz Street in the Belfair subdivision. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I've been a resident of Belfair since February 2009, and I'm the current president of the Belfair Homeowners Association. When I was elected to serve on the board of directors, I said that I was a neighbor before becoming a board member, and I'll continue to be a neighbor after my time on the board is complete. I think this is important because it reinforces my mission to serve the 127 other families of Belfair with as much compassion and care as I would serve my own. I'm willing to bet that every decision you make in this room forces you to consider how the value of a development balances with the many concerns of the county's residents you serve. I'm also willing to bet that many of those decisions are difficult. I'd even be willing to bet that some of those decisions don't quite work out the way you originally intended. I believe the Meadowlands development is one of those decisions. Gentlemen, we find ourselves dealing with an almost impossible problem to solve. A development was approved 12 years ago with the mindset of providing walkable connectivity between residential and commercial spaces. In theory, this idea sounds great. The problem with this idea is that in order for the residential spaces to be successful, there has to be a disconnect of vehicle traffic between the two very different zones. Now we have a new version which decreases the size of the commercial space, thereby decreasing vehicle traffic, and removes an access road from one of Belfair's interior cul-de-sacs. Neither of these versions address the necessary vehicular disconnect from the commercial space in the Belfair subdivision. Our county has grown leaps and bounds over the past decade and more. We see homes sell within hours of going on the market. We see families paying an additional 15 to 20% of their home for their home in Oconee County than they would pay for a similar size house on the other side of the county line. We see our school system growing so much that a new high school had to be opened in 2004, a new elementary school in 2018, and a new middle school already in the planning stage. Families are flocking to Oconee County, but they won't buy a house on a neighborhood road, which acts as a cut through for commercial traffic. Would you? Originally, Belfair residents thought about gating our subdivision, and it seemed like the easiest solution. It eliminates the opportunity for people to cut through our neighborhood. It provides a safe and secure community for our children, and it increases the value of our homes. Unfortunately, the costs associated with this option are tremendous, and it would create an incredible hardship on many of our families through a sizable increase in our annual HOA dues. Next, we thought about requesting Tallis Street be blocked from through traffic. Unfortunately, blocking the road isn't an option since they're public streets. However, installing two cul-de-sacs could work. Once again, and unfortunately, the county ordinances require an 80-foot setback from the boundary lines to the new cul-de-sac. If set back 80 feet from the boundary, the 140-foot diameter right-of-way would cut directly through the front door of one of the homes on Tallis and a few feet in front of the other home on the other side of the street. Although installing a couple cul-de-sacs on Tallis Street would be very difficult, I think this whole problem could have been avoided when Belfair was designed or the original Meadowlands was developed. During my research, I learned that the United Development Code has specific requirements for subdivision roads and cul-de-sacs. Section 1008.02, titled Relation to Present and Future Street System, Part E states, quote, subdivisions shall be laid out so as to discourage through traffic on local streets, end quote. I believe this county ordinance was not applied properly to either the design of Belfair or the creation of the commercial space directly outside our subdivision. In the past, the Belfair subdivision roads served little need as a throughway. However, the addition of the Dollar General built on Garland Drive, just 900 feet from Belfair's Tallis Street entrance, provided a destination for non-resident through traffic from Bowes Mill Road. Now, the creation of a 65,000 square foot grocery store, a gas station, restaurants, and shops with an entrance only 473 feet directly down Tallis Street from our boundary line will undoubtedly increase that public desire to use Belfair roads. You might ask how this development could possibly impact Belfair as significantly as I'm suggesting. Please allow me a moment to walk you through it. Imagine a shopping center is proposed on the property down the street from your neighborhood. Not directly next to your neighborhood like Belfair, but down the street. Imagine you live off of Bowes Mill Road. Now, imagine your wife is cooking dinner on a Tuesday night and she tells you she needs a missing ingredient right now and asks you to hurry. After all, she's already started cooking part of it. You could drive all the way down Dials Mill to Highway 78, wait for traffic to open and allow you to turn left, and then again wait for the traffic light in front of the grocery store before turning into the parking lot. Or you could simply turn left into Belfair subdivision and after a few easy turns, find yourself immediately in the parking lot. Now it's time to go back home. Would you wait for traffic to open again on 78 and let you on? And then drive all the way back down to Dow's Mill Road before making your way home? Or would you simply turn left out of the shopping center and utilize those same simple turns through a quiet neighborhood to get back to Dials Mill and back to your wife who's waiting on you to bring that missing ingredient? Remember, as you're driving, you're in a hurry. Your wife has already started cooking dinner. Would you drive under the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit? Would you stop at every stop sign, even the ones at a roundabout? Now, imagine you live in Belfair. That shopping center has an entrance on the same road as your driveway. There's 2 families in Belfair with this issue. How about just a simple direct access into your neighborhood? And on your way back to Dow's Mill with a couple turns, those shoppers are driving right in front of your house. There's 33 families in Belfair with this issue. Moreover, any wrong turn and these shoppers could find their way in front of any house in Belfair. That's 128 families impacted. As the design plan is currently drawn, shoppers will have the ability to turn left out of the development and drive directly into the Belfair subdivision. But wait, imagine your kids playing in your front yard with their friends. You and your family, along with many other families in the neighborhood, take after dinner walks on a nice evening. I realize I'm asking you to use your imagination here, but this is a reality for Belfair residents. Will it be safe for your kids to play in your front yard anymore? Are these people going to drive the speed limit past your house, past your family on an evening walk? Or will they speed by in a hurry to get home to make dinner? Are they going to pay attention and watch out for your kids' safety and the safety of your family and friends as they drive through your once quiet neighborhood? Or even worse, will someone stop and try and talk to your kids? Maybe that person's just lost and trying to figure out how to get out of the neighborhood. Or maybe they actually have less than honest intentions. The developer has made sure the CCRC residents will enjoy the safety and security of limited access by installing gates at every entrance to the CCRC. But what considerations in either of these applications were taken to protect the family and friends of Belfair? While I understand no subdivision is completely safe and secure, the expected increase in vehicle density will have a direct correlation with the likelihood of an incident occurring. This unfettered access on Tallis Street will cause an undue stress on the residents of Belfair, which in turn could result in a sudden urge for families to sell their homes. Simple supply and demand tells us that as the number of home sales in an area increase, the home prices decrease. Therefore, in addition to our security, we also have to worry about the value of our investment and whether that decreasing value is worth the safety concerns to stay in the place we've called home for so many years. Gentlemen, I know this isn't happening in your front yard, but it is happening to the residents of Belfair. We respectfully urge you to consider using your authority over the public roads in Oconee County to somehow block out access on Tallis Street, whether at the shopping center or at the Belfair property lines. In a perfect world, installing 2 cul-de-sacs on Tallis Street, one along the boundaries of Belfair and one along the boundaries of the commercial spaces, would improve safety and home values. Additionally, it would provide a simple turnaround for commercial vehicles using those commercial properties. Between the 2 cul-de-sacs, we could plant cypress trees flanking a 60-inch wide gate, which would prevent vehicle traffic while still allowing pedestrian and golf cart traffic to pass through for the Belfair residents. This concession to the Belfair residents would not only provide noise, light, privacy, and security buffers for those adjacent homeowners, but it would also provide an access point for Belfair residents to the shopping center, thereby increasing the desired sense of community as described in the developer's rezoning application. I understand this option does not comply with the current code, but at this point, neither do Belfair streets. They act as a direct throughway. Additionally, we request that you consider requiring the builder install additional sound and light buffers above and beyond the minimums described in the UDC. We believe this can be accomplished by widening the buffer zones, planting additional evergreen trees, and installing a tall privacy fence or sound barrier along the boundary lines adjacent to Belfair residents. The benefit of this will provide a sufficient divide between the commercial and multifamily residential space from our single-family residential homes, and thereby increase the feeling of security for Belfair residents and the sense of place for Meadowlands residents and shoppers. Both of these requests might seem excessive or difficult, but to the 128 families of Belfair, they're a necessity to ensure our safety, security, and home values. In addition to the immediate benefits for Belfair residents, these proposed safeguards would also provide additional protection if the residential portion of Meadowlands fails to succeed. There will soon be 571 units of multifamily housing directly behind Belfair subdivision. In the event the CCRC were to fail, The only alternate use for this type of development is condos, apartments, or hotels. I realize the property would need to go through an additional rezone application before switching to this type of use. But would any of you rather see an empty residential area than approve that rezone application? There is a lot of competition in the retirement community market right now, and we would hate to see it fail and an apartment complex find its way this close to our community without the addition of those significant buffers. In conclusion, Belfair residents will enjoy the use of the markets at Meadowlands since it's so close to our homes. We'd be dumb not to. However, the safety concerns with having direct public access through our neighborhood will impact our sense of security and safety, our sense of community, and our home values. Like I said earlier, we find ourselves trying to solve an incredibly difficult problem. The original version of this development was not a good situation for the families of Belfair in 2009, and it's still not a good situation 12 years later. I recognize the fact that this new version is an improvement. Removing the connecting road from Ruby Way and decreasing the size of the commercial space is a great start to improving this project. However, from the perspective of Belfair residents, these improvements are only lipstick on a pig. I respectfully request that you please consider removing the opportunity for direct vehicle access into the Belfair subdivision by either A, blocking Tallis Street within the boundary lines of the Belfair subdivision, or B, removing the Tallis Street entrance into the market at Meadowlands. I also ask that you please require the developer to expand the buffer zones, specify the installation of a large privacy fence or sound barrier, and plant cypress trees along the boundary of the development adjacent to all Belfair residents. Thank you again, gentlemen, for allowing me to speak tonight. I hope that you will consider our concerns and help us protect the safety of our streets, our family, and our neighborhood. Have a good night.
Thank you. Lawton Jones.
My name is Lawton Jones, and I actually brought my family with us. This is my wife Beth, my 5-year-old son Finley, and this is my 3-year-old daughter Ellie. And we live on 1021 Tallis Street. So we're one of the 2 families that Joel just referenced. And we brought them tonight because we want to show you a visual picture of what this new residential and community or commercial build is impacting. It's impacting him, it's impacting her, our ability to let them play in the front yard, our ability to let them be out by themselves. And like Joel said, we do walks as a family, and we are very concerned about the current setup. We realize that it's better than it was with Ruby Way being blocked off. We are looking for the same protections, the same safety concerns that were given to Ruby Way. So we would ask you, before pressing forward or alongside pressing forward, to give our family, to give our neighbor's family, and everyone in our subdivision the same concern and care that was given to Ruby Way. We love being Coney County residents. We don't want to move, but we also have to look out for these guys. These guys mean a whole lot to us, and we know your kids mean a lot to you. So we want you to see what this development is impacting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak against? Anyone virtually? Mr. Smith, would you like a rebuttal?
Thank you, Chairman Daniel. You know, I get it. I met with the neighborhood last week, and it's a difficult situation we have here, but I do think it's an improvement over what is currently permitted. And just as a reminder, this area along Tallis is already commercial, right? Yes, we're proposing an interconnection here because this is already a public right of way. And yes, we did remove this interconnection from Ruby Way because we had the ability to do so. Let's keep in mind, we're not modifying this area of the current application, and we're not modifying this at all. What we are modifying is this section over here. So that's all. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and close the public comment section at this time and open up to any questions from commissioners.
I've got one.
start off with, Guy, in the original rezone, is there a commercial connector to Talus? It went back in 2009.
Yes, sir. It's right there.
Well, let me say this, I was here when the commission voted for it, I voted against it. I thought it was a bad deal then. I do think this one's better, but I do sympathize with the homeowners, I did back then. And if there's a way that we can eliminate that issue, I certainly like to support that. Because I do think that's going to cause a lot of traffic. How we can do that, I'm open. But I do think if we don't do something, it will make things, I think, a whole lot difficult on those folks. The cul-de-sacs is the way to do it. I'm certainly closing the street. I'm certainly supportive of that. And I do appreciate the fact that the upper connector was struck. Because I never quite understood how we could approve that road going through the welfare subdivision up there going into the CCRC. It never made any sense to me. So I do appreciate the opportunity to clean that up, but I would like to do something further down.
Chairman, I got a couple questions, maybe Mr. Smith can answer for me. Joel had mentioned about the buffer. Take it back to I'll print it all out, but where was he talking about it? That abuts welfare is what his concern was about the buffer.
I'm not sure, but let me explain what the buffer is right here. There is a 25-foot buffer required along this area, right, which we're proposing. And within that 25-foot buffer will obviously be a fence and what's termed as cypress trees. We don't do Leyland cypress anymore, but we'll do something like some sort of opaque evergreen buffer, right? So you can count on the buffer right here, and actually it's required all the way around this way. So this is 25 feet there. It's 25 feet here, and it's also 15 feet over here. And this is also where the sewer line is. Here is a little bit different. This, we're showing a 50-foot improved buffer right here. And this is where it backs up to the pipeline. The pipeline is right here. And then there's the Belfair subdivision. So this actually backs up to the pipeline, but this will be a planted buffer. And then there's an additional width along the back of this, you know, looking at the back of the grocery store.
So what you're depicting there in the colors, is that what you will plant, or is that what's already there?
Some of this will be natural,
Yeah.
right? And then what's planted is this section right there. Yep. All of this will be planted.
And on that side as well.
Correct. That's required.
Mentioned about the access roads within the CCRC being gated. So that means any touch point with a commercial track that's going to be gated.
Yes. There's, of course, this is a private drive, private street, and there is a gate right there. So this traffic doesn't end up back here in this CCRC. Think Presbyterian homes, right? Then this is a private street and there's a gate placed right here and another gate right there, right? So this traffic then circulates around like that and is not allowed back into here and back out onto Dow's Mill. So
So that's gated as well on Dow's Mill.
it
Road.
is. Yes.
Okay. Now, I know the plans for the main entrance calls for at some point a signalized intersection.
Correct.
What's the, I mean, I know that DOT doesn't like to do those until there's justification.
That's right.
So what do you think, how long would that take before a signal?
Yeah, I don't think it will take that long,
Okay,
right? We're actually having to do one over in a neighboring county actually before the development because it will instantly require a signal. Whether this one will be instant, I'm not sure, but our traffic consultant says it will because of the school over here.
now, you're also calling for a right in, right out, is that correct?
Correct, right there.
Now, is that, those entrances are being built sufficiently large enough to accommodate any delivery truck of any size?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, DOT makes sure of that. DOT makes sure
Oh,
of that.
well, I'm just, for the record, I want you to hear, I want you to say, it. What about, so how dependent are you on that access to Tallis Street?
Only as far as this is a public right of way, right? And we did not modify this section of the plan. I don't think this is affects this development at all. You know, it certainly does limit interconnection, which I'm a huge advocate for interconnection because it disperses traffic instead of pushing everybody out onto a 4-lane highway. This is the reason we have 4-lane highways because everybody is pushed through our 4-lane highways, right? But is this going to be a deal killer? No.
Yeah, because I was trying to, those traffic studies that y'all include, I mean, I don't have a Georgia Tech degree to understand those, but
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of traffic anticipated.
Not on Tallis, there's not.
Yeah,
Mm.
so my question, and I pose this to Mr. Herring as well as my fellow commissioners. I mean, if it's not that important to you, is it not possible for us to consider just turning that into like a bike pedestrian access and no trucks or cars? So I'm not asking you, Bob, I'm asking, Guy and other commissioners. I mean, I know we're talking about a roundabout. I'm sure your developer would probably be less expensive to put in a pedestrian bike path than it would be a roundabout, perhaps.
Potentially, sure.
And that's just, I throw that out there for us to consider. I think the connectivity that you're talking about, because as Mrs. Dare was talking about, the access, if they want the walkability,
Mhm.
they need access to be able to walk up to the grocery store, to the dry cleaners or whatever. What a great way to do that. Take your bike or your, walk your kids up there. So I appreciate his concerns.
Yes.
And as far as cutting through, Joel, you won't ever have to worry about me cutting through your neighborhood. I got lost.
Yes.
As I told the neighbor, I saw the same lady with the same dog twice. So I don't know.
It's,
So it's not but it happens.
That's right. I kind of equate it to the Northwest Woods predicament, right? There's a shortcut in there somewhere, but you dare not try it because you're not getting out.
But I do appreciate the fact that, the kids, it is a family neighborhood.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know how many kids there are. I mean, Lawton brought his 2 up here, so if there's a house in there has at least 2 kids, you're talking about, a couple hundred kids out there running around. So I would like to put that forward, Mr. Chairman, as an option for, I think, number 4 would be limit that driveway to a bike pedestrian cart access. That's all comments,
And-
questions I have.
We would accept that option. Provided that, that the county maintain that right of way there and allow us to only build, a cart path or a multi-use path. Let's call it multi-use. I think that's fair.
there's not a drainage ditch or anything between, I didn't venture out.
It actually, it stops right here.
I know where the end of the road, but as far as onto your property, is it pretty well flat all the way across?
Yeah, but all
Okay.
this is gonna be great.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a ravine or,
No, there is a sewer line that goes through here,
okay.
and ultimately ends up down here. So yeah.
Well, whether it's a pedestrian trail or a roundabout, the county's gonna end up having to eventually maintain it anyway, so I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
sure about that.
And I'm assuming with this option, if this is a multi-use trail, then the requirement of a roundabout would then go away.
I didn't say that, I'd have to let somebody think out. I don't see a need for a roundabout if we don't have that street there.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, that's my opinion.
That's right.
Be the status quo of what you got now.
Yeah.
I would even suggest that what, for safety reasons, it would be pathway could accommodate any emergency vehicle that you have if they had to get in that. To that point.
Okay. Yeah, we might have to put some breakaway bollards or something.
Exactly.
and-
Those trucks
yeah.
go back to.
Sure.
Of course, my question also, Mr. Chairman, is that, would that help the neighbors out? I mean, I don't know, can we ask them?
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Joel, what y'all's thoughts about that?
Gentlemen, thank you very much for the question. There is no finite answer that will completely eliminate through traffic in our neighborhood. There's just not. However, turning that road into a pedestrian golf cart, bicycle path, I believe would eliminate, at the very least, people turning left out of there and going back through the neighborhood a second time. So I think that would be a good compromise for us. Thank you.
So it sounds like the neighborhood and the developer are agreeable to no access through Talus. And the public road portion of that would then become a multi-use path to be installed by the developer, maintained by the county. And so that condition would take the place of number 4, which is a roundabout or equivalent. Is that good? So did I state that in a way that you can wordsmith it correctly? All right.
I must admit, Mr. Chairman, it's not often. that
I tell you.
Everybody goes out.
All right, so it sounds like we have 6 conditions, with number 4 being replaced with the public road access turning into a multi-use path installed by the developer, maintained by the county. And with that, I think we can, if there are no further questions, we can start entertaining motions. We do want to take each one separately, so we'll start with the first one, which is special use P 21-0076.
I'll make a motion. We approve P 21-0076 Ellington Farms Development LLC for continuing care retirement community. Plus or minus 62 acres located at Highway 78 residential with the 6 conditions.
And number 4 modified as presented, as we just
Number
talked
4
about.
modified as presented.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and second to approve special use number P 21-0076 with 6 conditions. The 4th condition restated as we discussed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Then we'll move on to rezone P 21-0077.
I make a motion that we approve rezone P 21-077 as presented with the conditions.
Very good.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve rezone P 21-0077 with 6 conditions and number 4 restated as discussed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is rezone number P 21-0078.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve rezone P 21-0078 B2, the 27.47 acres located at 1011 Pete Dickens Road conditions outlined with, showing number 4 being modified.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve rezone P 21-007A with 6 conditions. Number 4 restated as discussed. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. With that, we'll move on to special use number P 21-0127. This is Rhonda Hayes. This is a special use modification to conditional use permit number 2892. This is 22.23 acres located at 1271 Old Watson Springs Road. Guy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, again, special use P 21-0127. Rhonda Hayes is located in the south end of the county. There we go. On Old Watson Springs Road. This is the aerial of the subject parcel. It's currently zoned AG in the agricultural preservation character area. And again, the applicant is requesting to remove the condition of conditional use permit 2892 in order to create one additional lot. You'll notice the number 2 there states no plats or deeds will be recorded describing more lots or smaller lots than proposed on the concept plan. So this needs to be removed so that the applicant can subdivide the property as proposed into a 5-acre lot. Staff recommends conditional approval, subject to our standard condition number 1 there, and then number 2, property may be subdivided into 2 tracts as shown on the associated concept plan, provided that each resulting lot contains a minimum of 5 acres and no further subdivision shall be permitted on the property until such time as Old Watson Springs Road is approved to county standards. Planning Commission recommends same approval.
Thank you. Clay Adams?
Hey, my name's Clay Adams. I live 321 Littleton Way. It's my understanding, which was new to me, we had to have the special use permit for the rezone on the dirt road to gain access to 5 acres for a single house, family dwelling. And that's obviously what I'm in favor of tonight, since I'd be the one purchasing it from my aunt. You know, I'm 4th generation in Oconee County and would love to make it 5th and finish raising my kids there. So leave it with that.
Thank you. Rhonda Hayes?
I've owned this property since 2003, 18 years. I haven't made any changes on it. I had a tenant living there. There's a double wide in the edge of the woods, and he's lived there for 8 years. He sent an email to the planning commission stating he had no objections to this subdividing off this 5 acres in the corner for Clay and his family. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak for the special use? Anyone virtually? Does anyone wish to speak against the special use? Anyone virtually? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comment, open up to any questions from commissioners.
None.
With that, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. We approve special use P 21-0127, Rhonda Hayes, special use modification of conditional use. Permit number 2892 plus or minus 22 acres located at 1271 Old Watson Road, residential with the 2 conditions.
Very good. We have a motion second to approve special use P 21-0127 with 2 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item will be special exception variance. This is the P 21-0153 Rhino Mini Storage LLC. This is B1, 1.5 acres located at 7575 Macon Highway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, variance P 21-0153 Rhino Mini Storage just north of Watkinsville on Macon Highway, North Main. This is a subject parcel right next to the county-owned property on the corner of the administration building. It's currently zoned B1 and is in the Civic Center character area. This is the proposed concept plan that you have in your packet, requesting the removal of the required buffer between the commercial B1 and the currently zoned AR county-owned property. Again, this is a zoomed-in portion of that rezone. And again, the property owner is requesting a variance from UDC Section 806, Table 8.1, to waive the requirement of a 50-foot landscape buffer adjacent to residential zoning. Staff recommends the approval of the variance, and that it does meet the necessary conditions to grant the special exception variance with the 3 conditions. One is our standard condition. Number 2, the previously platted 10-foot landscape buffer along the northern property line shall be planted with evergreen vegetation. Plants within said buffer shall be spaced 10 feet apart on center and shall be 6 feet tall at the time of planting. Said buffer shall be shown in the preliminary site plan, site development plan for the project. And number 3, an interparcel access easement meeting the standards of the Unified Development Code, Section 608, shall provide connectivity between the proposed parking lot and subject development and the adjacent county-owned property, tax parcel B06029C. Said easement shall be shown on the preliminary site plan and construction plans for the project. Thank you.
Frank Pittman.
Good evening. Hope y'all are well. This piece of property, as Mr. Harry mentioned, Zone B1, the plans are for a daycare facility on the property. Because the county-owned property is currently zoned AR, there's a requirement. The UDC says you're supposed to have a 50-foot buffer between commercial property and either residential zone or use. And because you guys haven't started your building yet, it's still residential. Once you guys started working on your building, there would be no requirement for a buffer at all on this property. We just happen to be a little bit ahead of you guys. So the request would be to remove this required 50-foot buffer that would go away anyway, hopefully next year. We are the property way back when this was originally platted before the UDC, they showed a 10-foot buffer along the property line. We're fine with keeping that 10-foot buffer, even though the UDC would not require a buffer at all once you guys started your building. The one thing I do want to talk about though is the third recommended condition. This is a little bit of a problem for 2 reasons. One is kind of the same conversation that you guys had a while ago. This is going to be a daycare facility with people dropping off small kids and taking kids in. It's really not a good idea to have through traffic through this parking lot while that's going on. The other concern along those lines is the access to this property is a shared driveway with the adjacent property owner. That adjacent property owner has nothing to do with this property. I don't know that my client even has the ability to give somebody through access through a shared drive that somebody else owns part of. So I would ask for approval of this request without that third recommendation, and I'm willing to answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for special exception variance? Anyone virtually? Does anyone wish to speak against? Anyone virtually? With that, we'll go ahead and close public comments this time and open up to any questions from commissioners.
I guess I have a question. I was going to ask about number 3. Where did that come from? Was that a request from planning commission or staff?
No,
What number
that was
3?
staff's suggestion that we
Okay.
have interparcel access there.
So do we really want them coming through the county parking lot?
Well, as Bob stated earlier, we encourage that interconnectivity to spread out traffic, but that's obviously up to you guys.
I didn't know if it was a request from the chairman or something like
Right.
that. It asked for that
That came from staff.
connectivity. So it's not, I mean, it's just staff
Just-
recommendation.
It's
Right.
It's dispersing traffic, just like we talked about. I mean, there's no, yeah.
But he's got a good point about the shared drive owner of the shared driveway, maybe would like to have a say. in it. Again, I'll opt for a bike pet pedestrian path, because the kids may want to go to the library. No, wait a minute, library's not going to go there. Well, hey, never mind, they can come over and pay their taxes. Okay? Wishful thinking.
For the record, the chairman doesn't request conditions on staff reports. Just want to get that out there.
I know, I was just picking on John.
Any other questions? We'll entertain a motion.
Well, since I brought that up, I'd make a motion, we approve the special exception variance P21-0153 for Ronald Mini Storage at 7575 Macon Highway with condition 1 and 2 and drop condition number 3. I'll second that.
So a motion is second to approve special exception variance number P21-0153 with 2 conditions. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is moving to personnel matters. We're to consider tonight an appointment to the Planning Commission for 2 4-year terms to begin October 1st, 2021 and expire September 30th, 2025.
I make a motion, we appoint Mike Floyd and Christopher Herring to the planning commission. The 2 appointments beginning 10/01/21, expiring 09/30/2025.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is consider appointment to the Recreational Affairs Committee for 5 2-year terms to begin October 1st, 2021 and expire September 30th, 2023.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we appoint the following to the Recreation Advisory Committee. Leslie Hunsinger, Kimberly J. Thomas, Amanda McCoy Ledford, Jason Hill, and Melissa Hopkinson.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is consider an appointment to the Board of Tax Assessors for the unexpired term to begin immediately as of September 7th and expire March 31st, 2025.
I make a motion, we appoint Sydney Bell to the Board of Tax Assessors from 9/1/21 to the vacant that expires.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Does any commissioner wish any item to be removed from the consent agenda?
No, sir.
With that, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the consent items as presented.
A motion is second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We do not have need of executive session, so Commissioner Saxon,
Motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned. Thank you.